Hello and welcome to Boomerang, West Lothian's weekly talking newspaper. It's Friday the 15th of August 2025 and this evening it's Team 2 who are bringing you the local news from around the county, which is taken from this week's Courier with permission. I'm Rebecca, and also reading for us tonight are Joanne and Sarah. Jane won't be with us this evening as she's just returned home after a lovely holiday in Mallorca and an amazing road trip home. Andrew is in charge of the recording and editing tonight as Diana's on holiday. Thanks, Andrew. It's much appreciated. Well, I hope you're all enjoying this beautiful summery weather we are having just now. I have to say, I do like the sunshine. Now, I don't think there's anything in the post bag, so now we can go on with the news.
Owner gutted after £18,000 jet ski heist. Crime gang makes off with jet ski worth £18,000. Article by Billy Gaddy. A crime gang have stolen 2 jet skis worth thousands within days of each other, leaving distraught owners out of pocket. Gilbert Naismith, 58, from Armadale, was devastated to return from a family holiday in Salou to discover his £18,500 Yamaha VX Cruiser had been stolen from outside his caravan at Loch Earn Leisure Park in St Fillan's Crieff on July the 15th. Just 5 days later, Callum McDougall, 37, from Mauchline, East Ayrshire, returned home from Tenerife on July the 22nd to find his garage smashed open and his £20,000 Yamaha GP 1800R Wave Runner jet ski gone. CCTV from both locations show a vehicle making off from the scene with the same number plates, suggesting one team of sophisticated robbers are behind the crimes. Gilbert said, "The guys who stole my jet ski are the same guys who stole Callum's a week later. They are an organised crime gang on the prowl." Footage from the caravan park captured a blue Jeep prowling the area multiple times before leaving with the jet ski in tow. Gilbert added, "I was on holiday in Salou with my wife, son, daughter and grandkids, and when I came back, my jet ski was no longer there. I had 2 wheel clamps on it, a lock and a wire rope. They either smashed it or cut it, and within minutes they were off with it." The 2 theft victims, who had never met, connected through social media after Gilbert's appeal went viral. He continued, "Callum got in touch with me to say that they might be connected. After a bit of digging, we realised the same car was involved and could see the same registration number." Callum's theft was even more brazen as armed thugs wielding bats were caught on camera ripping open his garage before reversing the same Jeep in and towing his jet ski away. Callum said, "I checked my security footage and I couldn't believe it. For someone to come to my home and damage my property is devastating. Someone who knows me and knew I was away told these guys. They knew what they were doing." Despite Gilbert having insurance, he's still faced with a £3,000 excess. Callum wasn't so lucky, as his jet ski wasn't insured, and he's now offering a £5,000 reward for its return. Both men believe they were deliberately targeted. Gilbert added, "I don't tell people when I'm going on holiday or post anything on social media. They must have been patrolling the park and knew I wouldn't be there." Police Scotland are understood to be keeping an open mind regarding the 2 thefts being linked. A spokesperson for the force said, "At around 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 23rd, we received a report of the theft of a jet ski from a caravan park in the St Fillan's area, which happened around 12:55 a.m. on Tuesday, July the 15th. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances, and anyone with information is asked to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 3089, or call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. We received a report of the theft of a jet ski from a property on Now in Mauchline around 4:10 a.m. on Tuesday, July the 22nd. The theft is believed to have happened around 11:40 p.m. on Sunday, July the 20th. Inquiries are ongoing to establish the full circumstances, and anyone with information is asked to contact Police Scotland on 101, quoting incident number 0452, or call Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111.
Officers deployed during Trump visit, credit to team. Article by Chief Inspector Elaine MacArthur-Kerr. Now that President Trump's visit to Scotland has concluded, I want to take this opportunity to recognise the efforts of West Lothian's officers who were part of the major policing operation undertaken during his visit. In total, 89 officers from across the Lothians and Scottish borders, including 55 from West Lothian specifically, were involved, and the professionalism and dedication to their duties was a credit to them, our division, and Police Scotland as a whole. In addition to police officers who were deployed to the presidential visit policing operation, many members of our support staff played vital roles in terms of resources allocation, communications and logistics, all of which ensured the overall success of the operation. My thanks go to everyone involved, as well as the officers and staff who continued to work on business-as-usual duties, which was pivotal to making sure the communities of West Lothian saw no difference to the level of service provided to them during the major event. On the subject of business as usual, within West Lothian, we remain committed to addressing the crime types that have a significant negative impact on the public. One of these is knife crime. The use of a knife or bladed weapon is something we see occurring during the commission of robberies or in attacks that result in injury, sometimes even serious or fatal. I want to be clear that knife crime of any sort will not be tolerated here in West Lothian, and we regularly work alongside a range of key partners to encourage young people in particular not to carry or use knives. We do this through seminars conducted within local schools where we and organisations such as the Scottish Violence Reduction Unit highlight the risks and consequences of being found in possession of a knife, or if you are arrested for committing an offence where a knife was utilised. Whenever a young person comes into custody for a crime where a knife was involved, we will look to engage with them and use the opportunity to offer intervention support that can help them make more positive life choices that put them on a path that diverts them away from criminal activity. Of course, enforcement will continue to play an important role in our response to knife crime, and those responsible for offences of this nature can expect robust criminal justice outcomes following their arrest. Another area we have been continuing to focus on as of late is that of the antisocial use of off-road motorcycles. These vehicles cause nuisance and alarm within our communities, and they are often ridden in a manner which puts both the rider and other members of the public at risk of harm. However, our ability to identify those responsible is greatly assisted by intelligence from local residents. Therefore, if you have any information on the antisocial use of off-road bikes in your area, please contact us via 101.
Be good sports and help mark events milestone. And this article is by Ian Bunting. West Lothian residents are invited to help Poppy Scotland celebrate 10 years of its hugely popular sportive showcase. The Armed Forces charity first saddled up for the cycling event in 2014, taking a hiatus due to COVID in 2020 and 2021, with the flagship fundraising spectacular so far raising over £270,000. These funds have kindly been donated thanks to the 5,650 cyclists who have taken part, covering hundreds of thousands of miles of cycle routes, allowing Poppy Scotland to support thousands of serving and ex-servicemen, women and their families who need help with issues such as housing, debt, mental health, mobility and more. With this year's event taking place on September the 21st, people in West Lothian are being encouraged to sign up now and further support Poppy Scotland whilst enjoying its 10th anniversary celebrations. Featuring 4 routes designed for different ability levels, it is split into 2 distinct types: the Classic, 46, 68 and 102 miles, and the Wee-Yin, 22 miles. As in previous years, riders will line up at the starting point in Preston Pans, East Lothian, then head along the historic coastal route to North Berwick, where classic route participants will face a timed hill climb before reaching the first feed station at East Linton. From there, the short route continues to Gifford, while medium and long routes head towards Garvold before splitting at Whiteadder Reservoir, where the longer challenge leading to Duns and medium returning to Gifford. All routes finish in Preston Pans. New for 2025, the Wee-Yin route will take cyclists inland to Gullen before heading back towards Aberlady and then on to the coastal path. This route is largely flat and is ideal for anyone wanting a family activity, looking for an easy ride or a fun, challenging activity to do at the weekend. Richard Todd, National Poppy Appeal Manager for Scotland, who will be leading this year's event, said, "We are delighted to be celebrating the 10th Poppy Scotland Sportive in September. This event has raised an astounding £273,272 over the years, with over 5,000 participants hitting the roads. Not to mention the wonderful 380 volunteers and 30 mechanics in the last 10 years who have willingly given up their spare time to help and support the day. Once again, we would love to see as many people as possible sign up to take part this year as we celebrate our 10th anniversary. Whether you are a former participant or a first-timer, we will be sure to give you a warm welcome with some great encouragement on the day. We hope to raise as much as possible in support of our armed forces community, and we would be delighted if those signing up to take part would also consider setting up fundraising pages and challenging themselves with a donation target. As little as £100 goes a long way in helping us to provide much needed support to both serving and ex-servicemen, women and their families in areas like housing, debt, mental health and mobility. If fundraising is not for you, perhaps when you register, you'd consider adding a £10 donation per rider. It's a small gesture that can make a big difference. Entry for the classic route is £40 per rider, minimum age is 16. The Wee-Yin route is £25 per rider or £40 per family, 2 adults and 2 children. Minimum age is 12 and entry is free for riders under 16. Entry includes electronic timing, mechanical support, food and water stations, coffee at the start, tea and toast at the finish, King and Queen of the Heuch timed hill climb, sweeper service and a finisher's gift. To sign up today, visit poppyscotland.org.uk/sportive.
Joanne opens up on love of her life's battle with tumour. Article by Lee Dalgetty. A West Lothian mum has opened up on her heartbreak after her late husband became confused while on holiday. Joanne McFarlane, 63, was in Fuerteventura with her husband Andy when he began struggling with everyday tasks. She initially thought he was overtired or unwell. The couple from Linlithgow returned home for tests at St John's Hospital in Livingston. It wasn't long before Andy was diagnosed with a glioblastoma, an aggressive cancerous brain tumour. While the treatment initially seemed to be working, Andy's condition deteriorated. The couple managed to return to Fuerteventura for a birthday celebration in April last year for one final trip to the place they both loved. Joanne admits that final year was the hardest as she watched Andy become disorientated and distant. He was moved into a palliative care centre in June last year before passing away with Joanne by his side. Joanne, 63, said, "Andy was the love of my life, quiet, kind and full of cheeky humour. He had a deep love of the natural world and spent his career as an ecologist and countryside manager. We met on a woodland management course in 1992 and had been together ever since. I was in a state of total shock when doctors found the tumour. Andy didn't fully understand what was happening, but the doctor started him on steroids and within days he seemed like himself again. After surgery at the Royal Infirmary of Edinburgh in February 2023, we were told it was a glioblastoma, a word we'd never even heard before. The oncologist said it was incurable and that he likely had 12 to 18 months. Andy just said, "All right then, I'll go for 18, and we focused on the treatment ahead. It was a deeply stressful time as I wasn't sure what the future would look like." Andy received 6 weeks of radiotherapy at the Western General. The couple's friend rallied around them, providing transport to appointments and vital support. Early scans showed stability, but in early 2024, his condition began to decline. They returned to Fuerteventura in April last year for Joanne's birthday for one final trip to a place they both loved. Joanne added that final year was the hardest. Andy had become disoriented and distant, so it was like losing him before he was gone. He was so frustrated by what was happening to him, and caring for him became incredibly difficult. He was in and out of hospital and eventually moved into a palliative care unit in Armadale, where they were so kind. Even near the end, there were moments where I knew he was still there. One day I was crying beside him and he gently stroked my arm, just like he used to. It was the last loving gesture he made, and I'll never forget it. Andy was in the palliative care unit in Armadale for 4 days before passing away peacefully with Joanne at his side on July the 1st last year. The following day would have been their 25-year wedding anniversary. Turning her grief into action, Joanne is now fundraising and calling on Holyrood to increase investment into tackling brain tumours. Joanne said, "Since Andy's death, I've raised more than 2 days of funding for the new research centre in the hope that they'll find a cure. I switched all my birthday and Christmas fundraisers to support them. This year, for the 200k challenge, I walked, swam and sketched, one drawing equaling 2.3 kilometres. Friends took to requesting sketches more than tracking my mileage, but I don't mind, it keeps me occupied, creative and connected to Andy. What I find unforgivable is how little is still known about brain tumours. How can something that kills more children and adults under 40 than any other cancer receive such little funding? It is why I'm campaigning now and writing to politicians, raising awareness and doing all I can to support this cause. Glioblastoma is a horrible diagnosis and right now is a death sentence. That has to change for everyone who receives the same devastating news as Andy. You can support Joanne's fundraiser by visiting www.justgiving.com and look for Joanne Brindley.
Kids get into swing of golf this summer, article by Michael Pringle. A summer programme for primary school pupils at a West Lothian golf club went a fair way to help them make the most of their summer holidays while learning the game from a PGA pro coach. The Get Into Golf summer programme at Greenburn Golf Club in Fauldhouse was aimed at P6 and P7 children from schools in the local area and culminated last Thursday, August the 7th. The project was jointly funded by West Lothian Council and Greenburn Golf Club. A total of 13 youngsters attended, with each receiving a certificate of participation and a membership of Greenburn Golf Club until January the 31st, 2027. Coaching was delivered by PGA professional David McMullen, who used the club's modern and well-equipped indoor Trackman studio, as well as the practice facilities and the golf course itself. Sets of golf clubs were provided to the children during the 5-week programme, which included an introduction into the rules and etiquette of the game, and fundamental techniques like grip, stance and swing. Participants were given a small polyester golf bag with golf tees, golf ball, marker, pitchfork, pencil, Sharpie pen, chocolate bar and a bottle of water to get them started. Lunch and refreshments were also provided each day. Club captain June Close said, "Overall, the numbers were lower than anticipated, but this provided for more time to be given to the children on an individual basis, which no doubt helped them gain a quicker understanding of the game and also helped to encourage them to be patient and not to be disheartened by their mistakes." June took the opportunity to express a huge and sincere thanks to club members Colin McRobb and Sean Smith, director at Sandy Davidson Limited, for their kind donations of golf balls and markers, Colin Martin, trustee at Sports and Wellbeing for All Trust, for his donation of bottled water, and helpers Brian Carbray and Lauren Reid, and PGA golf professional David McMullen for their time and patience with the children. In addition to the Introduction to Golf programme, the club organised a coach trip last month to the Genesis Scottish Open at the Renaissance Club, North Berwick, where 36 young people, accompanied by 9 adult volunteers, spent a great day following and watching their favourite professionals in glorious sunshine. June added, "Thanks to all the volunteers on our coach trip too, and to all the children themselves who, from their own feedback, had a great time and are now aspiring to achieve great success in the game." And there's a lovely picture of the 13 participants with their certificates and with Lauren, who helped with the course.
New Village School opens its doors to kids and staff, an article by Michael Pringle. A brand new school in a West Lothian village opened its doors to pupils for the first time yesterday morning. Hawkhill Primary in Winchborough has been completed ahead of time and on budget. The superb state-of-the-art school was handed over early to West Lothian Council by development partner Hub South East and main contractor Morrison Construction on August the 4th. The single-stream school has now opened to pupils and includes 8 classrooms, nursery provision, sports pitches and landscaping. Winchborough's population has increased significantly over the last decade, and the new school has been constructed using a flexible design which will allow it to be extended to accommodate more pupils if required in the future. West Lothian's Executive Councillor for Education, Andrew Maguire, said, "It's fantastic to see the superb Hawkhill Primary School completed, ready to welcome its first intake of children. Thanks to everyone involved in delivering this complex project for their hard work in ensuring it could be completed ahead of time and on budget. I'm sure residents in the eastern end of Winchborough will be pleased to have such an excellent state-of-the-art school on their doorstep." The new school is required to meet the increasing demand for school places in the growing community of Winchborough, which is a core development area for West Lothian. It has been fully funded by Winchborough Developments Limited as part of the development agreement linked with new housing in the area. Ian Bowd, Hub South East Projects Director, said, "We're delighted to have successfully handed over the new Hawkhill Primary School, an inspiring space which is going to make a real positive difference to the learner journey of its young people when it opens in the new school term." This project further strengthens our successful partnership with West Lothian Council, having delivered a number of award-winning projects together, and we're proud to have been entrusted with this latest investment in our client's education estate. David Ewing, Managing Director for Morrison Construction Building Central, added, "We are delighted to hand over this fantastic new facility early to West Lothian Council. This marks our latest facility for the Winchborough community and builds on our track record of delivering modern, inspirational environments for the students in time for the new academic year. A highlight of this project has been the collaboration between ourselves, West Lothian Council, and the designers to develop a unique solution that meets all the stakeholders' aspirations within budget and sits really comfortably in its surrounding landscape." And there's a very nice photograph to accompany this, and it shows the head teacher receiving a huge golden key from Councillor Maguire and obviously people from the developers, the builders.
Holyrood moves to help families affected by two-child benefit cap. Over 1,000 families in West Lothian will be better off following a move by the Scottish Government to mitigate the two-child benefit cap. Fiona Hislop, MSP, has welcomed new figures which reveal that 1,060 families in the local authority area are set to benefit from the SNP's decision to scrap the UK Government's cap, which limits support to only 2 children per family. The Scottish Government revealed in the Scottish Budget in December last year that they would introduce measures to negate the UK Government cap. The 2-child limit payment will come into effect from March the 2nd next year to support low-income families in Scotland impacted by the UK Government's 2-child limit policy and universal credit. Families with more than 2 children can apply for the monthly payment, which will match the universal credit child element, currently £292.81 per eligible child. The Scottish Government say the move will ensure that 20,000 fewer children will live in relative poverty next year. Fiona Hislop, MSP for Linlithgow constituency, said the UK Government's 2-child cap, which currently limits support for children living in poverty to only 2 children per family, is now impacting 1,060 households across West Lothian. First Minister John Swinney is clear that one of his key priorities is eradicating child poverty, and the Scottish Government's mitigation of this harmful policy is key to this. Ending this cap on the number of children who receive funds will support 1,060 families in West Lothian, and I am pleased to see the Scottish Government stepping in to support my constituents.
Great Sport MP donates items to Grateful Club. Article by Michael Pringle. An initiative that helps families in West Lothian tackle the cost of their children taking part in sports received a donation of footwear and equipment from Gregor Poynton MP. The MP for the Livingston constituency was joined by Jenny Young, Labour's candidate for the new Bathgate constituency in next May's Scottish Parliament election, during a recent visit to Broxburn United Sports Club, where he handed over boots, shin guards and gloves. Broxburn Boot Bank offers families access to football boots, shin pads, socks and goalkeeper gloves that have been donated at a reduced cost or free of charge. This helps to ease the financial burden on parents and helps ensure every child has the opportunity to take part in sport. The boot bank model is becoming increasingly popular across the country, with many local football clubs now operating similar schemes. In addition to the boot bank, Broxburn United Sports Club delivers a wide range of community-focused programmes. These include health and well-being classes for adults and young people, as well as a disability coaching initiative, Be Inspired, which provides inclusive opportunities for individuals of all abilities to engage in sport at their own pace. Gregor Poynton, who has previously supported the club by sponsoring signage at the Albin Park ground, commended the organisation's continued efforts. He said, "The Football Boot Bank is a fantastic addition to an already community-driven club. As MP for the Livingston constituency, I'm committed to supporting families in need and ensuring young people have access to opportunities that promote physical health and well-being. Broxburn United is an outstanding club, constantly growing and now fielding a senior men's side, Broxburn Athletic, in the Lowland League. We wish the team all the best for the season ahead." Initiatives like the Boot Bank make a real difference, and I hope this contribution helps give more young people the chance to enjoy football over the summer. Jenny Young added, "This is a fantastic initiative that helps make sport more accessible to children in Broxburn. It was a pleasure to meet some of the coaches and learn more about the wide range of activities available for our young people. As a former teacher, I understand just how important sport and physical activity are in helping young people develop new skills, build confidence, and have fun. I look forward to supporting the club in any way I can." A spokesperson for Broxburn United Sports Club said, "We are delighted to receive the donation of boots, shin pads and gloves to add to our boot and equipment bank. The kind donation from Gregor Poynton MP will be distributed to children at very reasonable prices or free of charge. This donation supports children's participation in football by breaking down barriers linked to the cost of living. Boots and equipment are recycled, further highlighting our commitment to our sustainability ambitions." And there's a picture there with the article of the three people, one from the club, Gregor Poynton, and Ms Young, in front of Broxburn United Sports Club with boxes and bags of the new equipment.
VPN risks warning amid new rules. An article by Ian Bunting. West Lothian residents have been warned about VPN risks as new Online Safety Act rules enforce age verification. Last month, a new web update was implemented to try and stop people from easily accessing adult websites and content. UK regulator Ofcom has created some tough new rules for users through the Online Safety Act. The Act aims to stop young people from stumbling upon inappropriate content while online. This new measure means that those wanting to view certain content will first need to provide proof of their age. But many people have raised concerns about being forced to prove their age online, especially as many have come into contact with this block for non-X-rated content, including Reddit forum threads on alcohol and even some Wikipedia sections. As a result, some people have chosen to turn to VPNs, virtual private networks, as they are unsure about sharing their personal data. The Online Safety Act is seen as an important move since Ofcom found that 8% of 8 to 14-year-olds in the UK have accessed adult websites. However, many adults have admitted feeling uncomfortable handing over their personal or financial data in order to access X-rated content. With the new update, West Lothian internet users will need to provide data including their name, email address, and potentially even bank details to ensure proof of their age. By doing so, only those old enough to watch adult content will be given access. In an online post, Ofcom said, "This is a significant change to how adults in the UK access pornography and is a key step in helping to protect children from harmful content when they're online." However, some experts are saying that this new measure could lead to a rise in cyber attacks and scams, as hackers will try to capitalise on the new system and steal the new data. Jake Moore, global cybersecurity advisor from ESET said there are still details of the Act that are missing that could even pose significant privacy and security risks by collecting data such as ID uploads and financial information. As a result of this new web update and concerns over protection of personal and financial data, the UK has seen a significant rise in the use of VPNs. These networks allow users to fool their smartphones or PC into thinking they are in a different country which does not have the new blocks in place. Additionally, VPNs also allow users to hide their browser data. And we're taking a wee break to bring you the intimations.
And now we have the deaths. Black, James Jim, Broxburn, peaceful at St John's Hospital on 27th of July 2025, aged 80. Jim, the beloved husband to Margaret, much-loved dad to Heather, and adored papa to Robin and Elle. Jim was a loved brother, uncle and friend or papa to all who knew him. He will be greatly missed.
Cosgrove Alexander, peacefully at St John's Hospital on 30th July 2025. Alexander, aged 82 years. Beloved husband of the late Annette. Dearly loved dad to Alwyn and Derek, and a much-loved father-in-law to Rachel. Sadly missed by all. Livingston.
And now we return to the news.
Volunteer honoured for charity support by Ian Bunting. A charity volunteer has been honoured for her outstanding work by the Centre Livingston. Sylvia Moyer, 79, has proved an invaluable source of support for breast friends and family, which her daughter Hazel Orr founded to support women through a breast cancer diagnosis, treatment and recovery after her own diagnosis. The Centre Livingston Volunteer Award is part of the shopping centre's Support in the Community initiative, established almost 10 years ago to pay tribute to people who have gone above and beyond in their own time to help others and reward them for all their efforts. Sylvia was nominated by Hazel, who wanted to say a big thank you to her mum for all the help and support she has received throughout her diagnosis and treatment, and to get the charity up and running and off to a flying start. The aim of Breast Friends and Family is to help make life as easy as possible for those going through treatment by providing patients bags full of product to help ease the side effects of surgery, chemotherapy and radiotherapy, including mastectomy bras, thermometers, scarves, creams and cooling towels. The charity also provides emotional, physical and practical support, including running exercise classes like yoga and relaxation sessions at its new premises called The Heart in Bathgate. Hazel said, as a charity, we rely heavily on volunteers to fundraise so that we can continue to help provide the products and services we offer to breast cancer patients in West Lothian. We have so many wonderful helpers, including my mum Sylvia, who has been volunteering since the very beginning. She is always by my side at fundraising functions and events and spends her time at home crocheting loads of lovely things for the charity to sell and raise funds, which is why I wanted to nominate her for the Volunteer Award. She will be 80 later this year, but that doesn't stop her. She spent the weekend with me in the Centre Livingston recently, where we were lucky to be appointed the charity partner, talking to lots of people and crocheting too. Sylvia added, I was delighted to be chosen by the Centre Livingston for this volunteer award after Hazel nominated me, which was a big surprise. I really enjoy getting out to meet everyone at the fundraising events as well as crocheting to help raise funds, and I was very grateful recently for the opportunity to raise awareness for breast friends and family at our recent pop-up at the shopping centre. Patrick Robertes, Centre Manager at the Centre Livingston, said, "Congratulations to Sylvia on receiving our volunteer award in recognition of the fantastic support she has been giving to the charity Breast Friends and Family. Our award was created many years ago to pay tribute to people in the local community who have gone the extra mile to help others and present them with a personalised certificate and a £100 gift card to treat themselves. If you would like to nominate someone, please email us at the Centre Livingston at inquiries@thecentrelivingston.com so that we can pay tribute to them and reward them. To find out more about Breast Friends and Family, check out the website www.breastfriendsandfamily.co.uk. And there is a really nice picture accompanying this with Sylvia and the person who was giving the certificate to them, and they are both dressed in the purple t-shirts supporting Breast Friends and Family charity, and lots of smiles and a £100 gift card.
Stats show sport spikes abuse. Article by Ian Bunting. Crime Stoppers has launched a powerful new campaign to draw urgent attention to increased levels of violence against women and girls during and after major sporting events. Recent statistics and reports from frontline services have shown that incidents of domestic abuse and gender-based violence spike around the time of significant sporting occasions. During the 2024 UEFA European Championships, police in England and Wales recorded 351 football-related domestic abuse incidents, almost double the figure from the previous tournament. Lydia Patsalides, spokesperson for the charity Crime Stoppers, said, "Sport should unite and inspire us, and for the most part it does. But we cannot ignore the well-documented rise in violence towards women and girls that coincides with major fixtures. These are not isolated incidents. They represent a national issue that affects communities across the UK. The new campaign encourages the West Lothian public to recognise the signs of violence and use Crime Stoppers' anonymous reporting service to speak up safely if they are concerned about someone's well-being. Crime Stoppers is also working with sporting bodies, law enforcement agencies and support charities to spread awareness, challenge harmful attitudes and promote prevention strategies at every level. If you see something, say something. By speaking up 100% anonymously, you could help save lives. No tip is too small, and your voice is vital."
Campaign looking out for grassroots referees. Specsavers has teamed up with the Scottish FA for the hashtag #LetThemRef campaign, a bold nationwide initiative designed to protect young match officials and transform behaviour across grassroots football, including in West Lothian. The campaign will introduce a series of comprehensive measures to create a safe and more respectful environment for everyone involved in grassroots football locally, with a particular focus on referees under the age of 18. At the heart of the initiative are specially designed white armbands sponsored by Specsavers, which will be worn by all youth referees to clearly identify them as officials still in training who require patience, support and encouragement. By making young officials easily identifiable to coaches, players and spectators, it is hoped that the under-18 match official armbands will help foster an understanding that these dedicated individuals are both developing their skills whilst proving an invaluable service to their local football communities. Specsavers believes this simple yet effective approach from the Scottish FA will help fundamentally shift attitudes towards young match officials across the country. Willie Collum, Scottish FA Head of Refereeing, said, "Grassroots football is built on passion, development and community, and that includes the young referees who help the game run smoothly across Scotland every day of the week. The armband is a simple but powerful reminder that our youngest officials deserve encouragement, not criticism, as they grow in confidence and ability. And we are pleased that Specsavers shares that vision by ensuring every match official under the age of 18 can wear their armband with pride." Specsavers Jenny Stephenson, Scottish Divisional Chair, added, "As the official eye and ear care partner of the Scottish FA, Specsavers is committed to supporting the Under-18 Armband initiative as part of our broader support for match officials at every level. At Specsavers, we recognise that referees are fundamental to football. Without them, there is simply no game."
Tax-free childcare sign-up. HM Revenue and Customs, HMRC, is encouraging working families in West Lothian to save money by signing up to tax-free childcare and using one of the thousands of facilities accepting it as payment. Tax-free childcare means they can save up to £2,000 annually for each child up to the age of 11. And £4,000 for a disabled child up to the age of 16 when they are paying for their childcare. There are now 75,000 childcare settings accepting tax-free childcare as payment, including nurseries, registered childminders, holiday activity clubs and before and after school clubs. West Lothian families yet to sign up for tax-free childcare can do it now to pay for their summer activities, or start paying into it ready for breakfast and after-school clubs. Families could be eligible for tax-free childcare if they have a child or children aged 11 or under. They stop being eligible on September the 1st after their 11th birthday. If the child has a disability, they receive up to £4,000 a year until September the 1st after their 16th birthday. The parent and their partner, if they have one, earn or expect to earn at least the national minimum wage or living wage for 16 hours a week on average, so each earn no more than £100,000 per annum and do not receive universal credit or childcare vouchers.
Bid for awards glory. West Lothian companies are invited to take part in the National BID Bid Awards 2026, which celebrate the very best business improvement districts, BID, across the UK. Bids have become an essential part of promoting both businesses and areas, creating inward investment and employment with some excellent initiatives. The awards are now open at mbawards.co.uk, and any West Lothian bid may enter up to 2 categories. Awards Director Damien Cummings said, "For far too long, bids have not been recognised in their own right. The amount of time and hard work that go into these areas deserves the highest praise. We're looking forward to celebrating the very best at the Leonardo Royal in London Tower Bridge in February." Minister for Local Growth, Alex Norris, added, "It is wonderful to see bids getting recognition for the vital role they play in creating thriving high streets, open job opportunities and bringing communities together."
And we're going to take a break now, and the second part of the recording will start soon after that. And now we're going to start section 2, which has some main news articles and also some sports news.
Special Sapphire Milestone Celebration for Loving Pair. Article by Michael Pringle. A loving West Lothian couple got together to celebrate 65 years of married life. Colin and Margaret Bailey marked their blue sapphire wedding anniversary with the help of staff at Heatherfield Nursing Home in Armadale. Margaret is now a resident at the nursing home while Colin still lives at home nearby. The couple were married on August the 5th, 1960, at the town's East Church, and it was a relative of Margaret's who carried out the ceremony. She recalled, "I enjoyed my wedding day. The church was lovely, and the minister that married us was actually my brother-in-law." The couple went on to have 3 children who were all boys. Margaret moved into Heatherfield last month, but the happy couple are still almost inseparable, with Colin visiting every day and often staying for dinner. The anniversary party saw activities staff at the nursing home in Armadale's Bathgate Road decorate the lounge area with photos scanned from Colin and Margaret's wedding album, along with some sapphire blue coloured decorations. Navy veteran Colin was dressed impeccably for the big day in his uniform, displaying all his medals. He arrived first thing, bearing gifts for his beloved wife. Margaret gifted Colin a new wedding ring, which she lovingly slid onto his finger, and he returned the gesture by presenting her with a stunning sapphire eternity ring. Margaret continued, "I just love everything about him. I remember walking to church together every Sunday morning. We would always fall out on the way home because he didn't share my faith. We laugh about it now." They spent the morning reminiscing about their 65 years of marriage with the staff before celebrating in style by attending a party with the rest of the residents at the home. The pair enjoyed a live performance from local singer Lauren Kyle, and Margaret commandeered the microphone at times to sing a song or two herself. Margaret added, "I was surprised that Colin enjoyed the concert so much. He doesn't normally care for music. We had a lovely day together. He looked so handsome, like a young man again. We enjoyed the whole day, and the staff did a wonderful job." Roz Smith from the activities team at the nursing home said, "The lounge had been set up by the activities staff to host a romantic evening meal, allowing the couple to spend the evening together in privacy. Colin had requested homemade stew, while Margaret requested whiskey, which we were happy to honour. They rounded off the day of celebration by cutting a cake together. It's estimated that less than 16 marriages out of every 100 reach the 65-year blue sapphire anniversary milestone. So what does Margaret think is the key to longevity? If you want a long-lasting marriage, I advise you to try not to fall out over silly things," she said. "It's easy to fall out, but much harder to fall back in. Love each other fiercely, always." And there is some really lovely pictures of Colin and Margaret. There's one of them sitting together. This is for the romantic meal in the evening, and they're both dressed beautifully. They're sitting at a table, and it has a royal blue tablecloth on it. There is royal blue balloons on the wall and blue bunting, and they've both got wine glasses, crystal wine glasses, and they're raising them up to say cheers. And there's another beautiful picture of Colin and Margaret, and he has his uniform on, and they are standing together in front of a big collage of pictures of when they were younger and getting married. And there's a really nice picture of the two of them with hands holding each other, and they're cutting their anniversary cake. And that's just a lovely story.
Comic Karen is back on tour for brand new show. Article by Ross Thompson. Comedian, actor, writer, DJ and star of Chewing the Fat, Karen Dunbar is set to embark on a brand new tour which includes a West Lothian show. This is a new show for 2025, and it sees Karen sharing stories from her life and talking about her career with, as you would expect from a stalwart of the Scottish comedy scene, a heap of humour and jokes. This is Karen's 4th tour with Aberdeen-based promoters Breakneck Comedy since 2023, and, as Breakneck Comedy founder Naz Hussain explains, it's their most ambitious to date. He said, "This is the biggest tour we've ever organised, and I'm delighted that we're working with Karen for it. This is a big year for Breakneck Comedy. It's our 15th anniversary, and to be able to deliver such a huge tour for such a well-loved Scottish act is the icing on the cake." Anyone who's been to one of Karen's shows before will know that it's a great night of laughs, jokes, stories and anecdotes from her career, covering everything from her time on Chewing the Fat right through to her latest adventures as a DJ. This is a brand new show for 2025, and the fact that Karen has so many fresh new stories to share is testament to her talent as a comedian and her amazing career. She began her career as a DJ and karaoke host before she attended the Comedy Unit's open auditions in 1997, where she was cast in BBC Scotland's sketch show Chewing the Fat, created by Ford Kiernan and Greg Hemphill. Karen played a host of instantly recognisable characters, including the lonely shopkeeper and the depressed taxi caller. She starred in The Karen Dunbar Show, which received 2 Golden Rose nominations for Best Comedy Show, and Karen herself gained 2 personal nominations for Best Comedy Performance. As a comedy actress, she has also tackled serious roles, including a performance in the poetic monologue A Drunk Woman Looks at the Thistle, adapted by Denise Mina from Hugh MacDiarmid's poem of the same name. In 2014, she was lead compere at the Commonwealth Games opening ceremony held in Glasgow, alongside John Barrowman and Des Clarke. Karen sang and performed a showcase of Scottish culture, inventions and places during the broadcast, which reached a global audience of 1.5 billion people. I love bringing big names to towns that some promoters might overlook, said Naz. It's really exciting to be able to put on shows all over Scotland and make it easier for people to be able to enjoy a great night of comedy. Karen will be playing Livingston's Howden Park Centre on Saturday, September 27th at 6 p.m. For tickets, visit www.breakneckcomedy.co.uk/comedians/Karen-Dunbar.
Stately summer sessions thrilled thousands of fans. An article by Michael Pringle. Thousands of dance music fans descended on a stately home in West Lothian for a 2-day event. The grand-looking 325-year-old Hopetoun House near the village of Newton provided an incredible stage backdrop for the occasion. Looking in the opposite direction, beyond the greenery, the Queensferry crossing dominated the skyline. Hopetoun House is owned by a charity trust, but the south wing remains the family home of the 4th Marquess of Linlithgow. The Hopetoun House Sessions is a new series of outdoor summer shows by the Scottish events company EE Live, who also organised the Terminal V Festival. The Saturday headline act was Australian house and techno producer Fisher, who thrilled the crowds. Comments on the social media during the day confirmed that the music wasn't confined to the site, with many over the water in Fife being able to hear the party in full swing quite clearly. The weather remained fair for the crowds who attended over the 2 days, with showers contained to Sunday morning, and the sun was out, ensuring the site was dry again before the gates opened for the afternoon. There was an even bigger crowd on the Sunday, with broadcaster and promoter Boiler Room taking over the stage for the day. It was prevalently a youngish crowd who queued patiently at the gates to access the site, where the usual festival-type bars and eateries were housed. The Boiler Room stage setup allows the crowd to get up really close and rub shoulders with the DJs as they perform. Top of the bill was legendary house music veteran and speed garage pioneer Armand van Helden. The former Grammy Award nominee from Boston rolled out a set laden with classics, including his own remixed versions of Sneaker Pimps and Spin Spin Sugar and Tori Amos' Professional Widow, which went to number 1 in the UK singles chart. He also delivered Bonkers, his collaboration with Dizzy Rascal from 2009, and the following year's Barbra Streisand track, which he released on behalf of Duo Duck Sauce with Canadian DJ producer A-Track. It hit number 3 in the UK. His set delighted the euphoric dancing crowd further as lasers and searing flames lit up the West Lothian sky. Prior to Armand van Helden's appearance, Scotland's own Ewan McVicker had upped the tempo a bit in preparation for the Bostonians' arrival, and there was a maturity about the set to be delivered, which didn't include his 2021 debut single, Tell Me Something Good. Earlier in the day, an international lineup featuring SWAT Team, Messi, St. Ludo, Notion, and a back-to-back set featuring Ophidian and Todd Edwards had kept the receptive crowd moving. The event rounded off at 10:30 p.m, but with no on-site parking facility at the venue and revellers relying on being picked up, taking a taxi or hopping on the Happy Bus, it would be a few hours before the majority made it home, with many departing on foot for lengthy walks to predetermined pick-up points elsewhere. However, they happily wandered off into the relative darkness following a great day dancing in the surroundings of splendour. And there's a super photograph of Hopetoun House, and it's beautiful. The sort of huge grassy lawn in front of it with very, very happy people dancing and obviously singing and enjoying themselves.
Tate targets a cup upset. Jambo's loanee plots Hibs' exit with the Lions. Article by Andy McGilvray. On loan, Hearts kid Macaulay Tate wants to make it as difficult as possible for the Edinburgh Giants to leave him at Livingston for the season and says that everybody benefits from that. The 19-year-old is on a second loan spell from Tynecastle and jumped at the chance to rejoin David Martindale's side in the Premiership, having helped get them there in the first place. On Sunday, Tate hopes to tackle Edinburgh rivals Hibs in the Premier Sports Cup for the first time in his career, and says that games like that are part of the draw the Ammanville club holds for him, with a trip to Celtic Park looming next week. Tate reckons it's a good fit for him at Livingston, and that means all three parties will benefit. I'm loving it, said Tate. Just playing football is exactly what I need to do, and to do it in the top flight has been amazing. I'm just thankful for the opportunities. I was a Jambo growing up, and the loan means I won't be able to play against Hearts this season. I think they have an option to bring me back in January, so it's up to me to make it as difficult a decision for Hearts as possible. Come here and do as well as I can, and that benefits all three parties, so that's all I'm focusing on just now. Hopefully you can keep making Hearts decisions for you, so we'll wait and see what they say. Tate admits the chance to lock horns with teams like Hibs and Celtic was a major draw for him at Livingston, and it is as absorbing as much as he can from experienced players around him, which helps. He added, it's obviously different coming up against Hibs, but I think that's why coming back to Livy made a lot of sense, because I'd be getting to play against the same teams as I would for Hearts. I've never played against Hibs, so it would be nice to do that. It's Celtic the week after, and it's a brilliant opportunity to go and play in the biggest stadiums in the country against the biggest teams, so I'm really looking forward to that. We have a good team, so we can hopefully put up a good fight. It's a brilliant changing room. The players have been brilliant with me, and I love working with every single one of them. They've taken me under their wing and helped me a lot. They're an experienced group, and they've all played at the highest level, so you listen to them and take all the advice they give you on board. Tate played 15 times for Livy last season, helping them to win the SPFL Trust Trophy and gain promotion back to the Premiership via a playoff win over Ross County. He has already got off the mark this season, scoring in a 2-1 Premier Sports Cup group stages win over East Fife, and says the decision to head back to West Lothian was instant. It was a pretty easy decision, to be fair, said Tate. I look at the midfield at Hearts and it's pretty stacked just now, and there was a good chance it was just going to get increased. There was no point in wasting what I did last year at Livy, so when the chance came to come back, it made perfect sense to go into a side in the top flight.
Monarchs informed to sink Scorpions. Edinburgh Monarchs bagged a narrow 48-41 win over Scunthorpe Scorpions at the Armadale Stadium on Friday. The capital side will hope to continue that form going into a double-header against Workington Comets at Armadale on Friday and Northside Stadium on Saturday as they chase the playoffs, having visited Glasgow Tigers in the Knockout Cup last night, Wednesday. Monarchs didn't have it their own way in a match that started with 5 successive 5-1s, and there were ups and downs for both sides. Captain Paco Castagna said, "I needed that. I keep saying we're in a moment of good form, and the good thing is that we cover for each other. I was pleased to equal my best score around Armadale. I said to the boys that it has been a few years since we made the playoffs, but now I feel that we deserve the playoffs. We all know we can get there." Monarchs took 3 of the opening 5-1 advantages to Scunthorpe's 2, all pretty much from the gate, other than an excellent battle for second in Heat 2 between Jonathan Grahn and Declan Kennedy, which the visitor won. There was a first bend tumble in Heat 7 as Luke Harrison ran into the back wheel of Michael Palm Toft, with the Scorpion excluded. Connor Mountain won the rerun though, and Palm Toft has still to hit his top form. Heat 8 was also shared, Castagna bursting from the back to pass Simon Lambert and Zane Kennedy. Austin Sedgman then won the battle of 2 unbeaten riders against Jake Allen, but as that opened up a 6-point gap, it was no surprise that Allen was immediately introduced into Heat 10 by Scunthorpe boss David Howe. Monarchs reserve Grahn was introduced, with the Swede sweeping around Allen and Mountain to join Castagna for a 5-1 and a 10-point lead. Palm Toft gated better in Heat 11, but was overhauled by Lambert. Up popped Grahn again as Sedgman won his 5th heat, backed by the Swede, to virtually ensure the win. Grahn had recorded 2 vital paid wins with a very poor ride in between, perhaps down to him feeling unwell. Scunthorpe cut the deficit by 6 over the next 2 heats, but the points were in the bag, and Castagna passed Steve Worrell in Heat 15 in a fitting finale.
African Stars thrill the boss as Livy sinks the Bairns again. Livingston 3, Falkirk 1 article by Ian Stephen at Almond Vale. Livingston maintained their unbeaten start to 25-26 league campaign with a tempestuous victory over fierce rivals Falkirk. But it was the unearthing on a 2 news talent in gold and black that delighted manager Davy Martindale the most, with African stars Jeremy Bakila and Samson Lawal being highlighted with the same pride usually reserved for a delighted parent. "I gained a player today," exclaimed the gaffer in reference to the league debut of Nigerian fullback Samson Lowell, who filled in at right back due to an injury to Daniel Finlayson. "I think it's important that I mention wee Sammy at right back. I don't think a lot of you guys would know who he was. Sammy's been at a club. He's in his 4th year. We signed him for Nigeria. He was in an academy in Nigeria. It's amateur status, but when I signed him, he just played something along the lines of 8 games for Nigeria under-20s at the World Cup, got to the quarter-final, and in the CONCACAF, he got into the semi-final, and to put it into perspective, Scotland didn't get to the World Cups. So we've got him in, got a work permit. First year was a lot of adaptation in terms of just everything, the language, everything. Second year, I think they were a really strong group, and we used 14 or 15 players last year, and because we were winning games, it became easier week by week, and the team became easier to pick. So it was difficult this year. We made a decision in the office when we found out Dan was probably not going to make it. Will we throw Sammy in? I knew he would do well. He looks after the ball first and foremost, but he's really difficult to beat one-on-one. like really difficult, and he's very good when he's on the ball. I'm just delighted for him. I can now trust him, and that was probably the one element his game that was missing, that trust. It's hard to get that trust when every point's a prisoner. It was business as usual with Scott Pitchman scoring for the Lions before Lewis Smith ballooned the net with a fierce curling effort to thrust the home side 2 goals up. Robbie Muirhead missed a penalty for the West Lothian outfit, and when Ross McKeever pulled a goal back for John McGlynn's men, the fight back looked on. Step forward, new signing Jeremy Bukila to notch his first goal for the Amundvale club, leading to Martindale praising his new Congolese international striker. So big man's come in, Martindale stated. He's played top tier in a few different countries, but he's come in from the top tier in the Netherlands last year. One of his main attributes is he's quite physical. He's quite good, but I think he got a wee bit of a shock today. Falkirk were really physical. So it was a different type of game that he was coming into, but I thought his finish was incredible. I thought it was a great finish for a 36-year-old that hasn't ever played in Scotland before. The Barons failed to get the better of the Lions on their way to winning the championship last season, and that is now 8 games unbeaten for Livy against their rivals. Livingston now face Hibs on Sunday when they play host to the Capital Club in the last 16 of the Premier Sports Club. And there's a photograph of David Martindale looking very happy and clapping his hands cheerfully.
Sarah sets sights on World Championships after defeating Muir by Andy McGilvery. A Livingston postgrad medical student who pipped Laura Muir to a major UK title has set her sights on making the GB team for next month's World Championships. Sarah Calvert, 24, became an overnight sensation after beating Muir to the 1500-metre post by 0.05 of a second at the UK Championships in Birmingham in the first weekend of August, and joked that she knew of her fame when a Wikipedia page appeared. Former Linlithgow Academy pupil Calvert has now set her sights on achieving the 4.01.50 World Championships qualifying standard for Tokyo. She told BBC Sport, "As soon as I crossed the line, I knew it was crazy. I knew this was the biggest moment of my life. Afterwards, I had my first anti-doping test, so that was another good experience. Since then, I've had so many messages from people from school, from all my friends, from my parents' friends, and it makes it all seem very special. My dad sent me a text to tell me I've got a Wikipedia page now. It's just kind of insane. I didn't really expect to blow up like this. It feels incredible. I did not expect this to ever happen, but especially not with being busy in May studying for exams. That was pretty stressful for me." Livingston Athletics club runner Calvert, who's studying at Edinburgh University, reckoned she had absolutely no chance of making the GB team for Tokyo, but said, "It still seems pretty far off because I need to run a big personal best. I think I just have to go for it." Calvert's career was nearly over before it began, as she underwent an operation for the condition of the back called scoliosis when she was aged 15, leaving her sidelined for a year. "It was a really tough and scary time in my life," Calvert told Scottish Athletics. "I had metal rods inserted in my back, and yes, they are still there. My family and I went through a lot at that time and couldn't do any exercise at all for a year. I remember at the time thinking, when will I get back to running again? Will I even be able to improve my personal bests? I was thinking, will I ever run again? Then getting back, it took so long to be fit. I never knew if I would win races again and get to the top in my age groups. Now, aged 25, Sarah trains in the morning, cycles to a hospital placement and trains in the evenings. She said, I often worry that I'm compromising running for medicine and then the other way around, but I think I just have to accept that I want to be a runner and I want to be a doctor at some point in my life. So for now, the best way for me to do it is to combine the two. It is rarely that I have to miss training for medicine, so I make it work pretty well. Calvert clocked a Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games qualifying time of 4 minutes, 04.33 seconds to finish 4th at the Flanders International Meeting in Uerdegem, Belgium, taking almost 4 seconds off her personal best. Through the outside the World Championships qualifying time, she still has time to chase the Tokyo mark. Sarah's younger sister Isla is also a middle distance runner, and there is a picture of Sarah Calvert pipping Laura Muir to first place at Birmingham, where you can see all the runners and they're in the final stretch and they look very determined, but obviously Sarah is in the lead. And then there's an absolutely brilliant picture of Sarah as when she has completed the race and she's standing beaming. She's wearing a yellow top and blue shorts and she's holding up the UK flag and she is just smiling like she's had the best day of her life.
Brox are battered by Rose in Derby. Linlithgow Rose 5, Broxburn Athletic 0. Article by Paul Thompson. Delighted Linlithgow Rose gaffer Gordon Hurd insisted the clean sheet pleased him more than anything after battering Broxburn Athletic 5-0 in Saturday's Derby clash. The Gallant dished out a humbling defeat to their Lowland League rivals and near neighbours at Preston Field to take their scoring exploits to 21 goals in their last 4 games. Kieran Green, Lucas Stenhouse and Dylan Patterson all found the net in the first half to have the horse cruising, before Alan Snedden struck in 67 minutes and Stenhouse completed the rout with his second of the day just 2 minutes later. But that wasn't what delighted Hurd most, as they went second in the table, just a point behind leaders Clydebank. He said, "I thought we were excellent. It took us a wee while to settle into the game, but I thought once we got the first goal, we were completely dominant. To score 5 goals past that Broxburn team, who I think have signed really well, is excellent. The most pleasing aspect for me isn't the 5 goals we've scored, but that we've kept the ball out of the back of the net at the other end. I thought Green and Greg Skinner were outstanding, the way they handled Big Errol Douglas. And when we got to the final third, we had boys like Stenhouse, Dylan Patterson, Oliver Hamilton and Callum Ray, so it was a joy to watch. We really put Broxburn to the sword and the boys were ruthless. We could have scored a lot more. We've got to be pleased. We've bounced back from an opening day defeat and rattled in 21 goals in 4 games. I'm really proud of the boys. They are playing with a smile on their faces, and that's what it's all about." Despite sitting second, Hurd says he is keeping his feet on the ground. He added, "It's early doors, we aren't getting carried away, but if we keep churning out performances like that, we will be in for a good season. It is up to the guys in the changing room. We've demanded consistency off them, and they have been outstanding in the last 4 games. We've just got to keep building on this, and I think there is more to come from us." For Broxburn coach Lewis Turner, he admitted the defeat was embarrassing. He said it was not a good result. We just weren't at the races, and they wanted it more than us. They worked harder, which is unacceptable. I can accept players have bad games, but 95% of the team had a bad game. At 1-0, there was 5 minutes to go until half-time, and there's not much in the game. Then we find ourselves 3-0 behind at the break. The boys never reacted after that, and we fell apart. It was the exact same thing last year at Linlithgow away, when it was 6-2. We just fell to pieces. The boys know it is not good enough, and it is embarrassing for us. I have never been beaten like that before, and never want to be beaten like that again. The manner of it was the big issue, and there were no positives. Broxburn will look to bounce back away to Cowdenbeath on Saturday, while Rose look to build on the result when they host Celtic B. Both are 3 p.m. kick-offs, and there's 2 contrasting photographs of a thrilled Gordon Hurd, heaping praise on his side, and a very dejected Broxburn coach Lewis Turner.
Frustrating night at the race wall for local drivers. There was some close and fast racing at the Cowdenbeath Racewall on Saturday night, and whilst it stayed dry throughout the meeting, the track was wet at the start of the meeting. There was a good turnout of the local drivers in the Pro Stock Basics, where the drivers were racing for the Turner Trophy, but it proved a frustrating event. Among those in action were Joanne Hilditch, Harthill, Amy Easton, Whitburn, John Payton from Polbeth, and Terry Curran from Polbeth. In the opening heat, Hilditch ended up in 7th spot with Payton in 10th, while in Heat 2, Hilditch finished in the 3rd spot. When the final started, Curran slotted into 6th with Payton in 10th, while Hilditch only took a few laps to get into the top 10. The race was suspended after Curran clipped the wall and stopped. Once the track was clear, Hilditch began to make up ground, but was caught up in a dice with a couple of cars. In the end, there was no podium finish as she finished in 6th place, the only local driver to do so. Meanwhile, Colin Forbes from Broxburn was the only local driver racing in the Formula 2s, but had one of those nights when he struggled and failed to get the top 10 finish in any of his races. Iona Sibbald, Bathgate, was among a big turnout of micro F2 drivers, but struggled to make inroads through the field and failed to record a top 10 finish. This Saturday, August the 16th, the Formula 2 drivers are back, along with the Classic Hot Rods, Pro Stock and the Unlimited Bangers, while the Mini-Stock drivers are also involved on an action-packed night as they race for the Scottish Championship. Check the Racewall website for further details.
Lions women all set for opener. Livingston women boss Craig Joyce says having to move their SWPL2 opener against Boroughmuir isn't ideal, but they'll go on with it. The league opener clashed with Livingston's men's team's Premier Sports Cup last 16 tie against Hibs, which saw the women's game moved to Meggetland. Joyce said, "I think we would have liked the game at home, but such as it is, we had to shift the game. We just prepare for the game the way we always would. Boroughmuir are as good a side that I've come up against them a lot throughout the years, and they will be a tough opponent. But we can go out, give it all we've got, and we can look forward to it." Livy prepared for the clash with a 5-0 win at home to Edinburgh South on Sunday, with goals from Megan Whiteford, Rebecca McGarvey, Jess Murphy, Rachel Walkingshaw and Vivian Strain. Joyce said, "I thought we did well, worked hard, and there was great energy about us at times. Overall, I'm happy, but in the first half, I thought we were a wee bit leggy and lethargic, and there was no reason for it to be that way."
Cricket clubs suffer heavy defeat at home. Brace yourself for this. Livingston Cricket Club is struggling in East of Scotland Cricket Association Division 1 after a 157-run hammering at home to Pennycook on Saturday. Leaders Pennycook racked up 304 for 8 in their 45 overs, with Livingston managing 147 for 10 in 37 overs. This result leaves Livingston second bottom of the league. Livingston visit RH Costoyfin 2 at Royal High School on Saturday with a 1 p.m. start. There was better fortune for Livingston 2, who won by 7 wickets in their Division 4 match at St Boswell's on Saturday. St Boswell's were all out on 88 for 5 in 40 overs, with Livingston 2 reaching 89 for 3 in 20 overs. 6th placed Livingston 2 host Holy Cross at Dresselrig on Saturday. Livingston 3 lost by 77 runs at Stewart's Melville 3 in Division 6. Stew Mel reached 244 for 7 in 40 overs, while Livingston were on 167 for 10 in 39. Second bottom Livingston 3 host Dunnykea 2 at Bankton Mains East on Saturday. Livingston 4 fell to a heavy 166-run defeat at home to Grange 4 in Division 9. Grange were all out on 211 for 8 after 40 overs, but Livingston managed just 45 for 10 in 24 overs. Bottom placed Livingston 4 host Moreton 4 on August 23rd.
And I have a little poem for you, and I hope some of you will vaguely remember things like coal fires and roller blinds and stuff like that. I can vaguely remember it from when I was a wee girl. And this is, it's no often I complain. My lavy pan is broken, my kitchen sink is choked, my outside door's aye jamming, I cannae get it locked. I cannae get hot water for baith the bath the ween. Oh, you send a man to sort it, it's no often I complain. You'll hae to send a man out to sort my lobby licht. I can't get near my meter, yon's a nawfie hicht. My pulley rope is broken, there's a bad smell aff the drain. Oh, you send a man to sort it, it's no often I complain. The pipes around the kitchenette are awfie badly bent. The window sills are rotten just for the want o' paint. And the paper neath the window's getting washed with all the rain. Oh, you send a man to sort it, it's no often I complain. Outside on the drying green, I haven't got a pole. There's nae boards in the cellar, so I cannae store my coal. And as for my blind rollers, I'd be as weel wi' nane. Well, you send a man to sort it, it's no often I complain. My windy cords are broken, there's slates come aff the riff. I cannae use my cooker, the hing me's 4 hours stiff. There's dry rot in the bedroom, and the rent man's just there saying, you'll hae to get it sorted, it's no often you complain. The plaster's coming aff the frieze and falling on the flare. The water's coming aff the walls and running down the stair. The men who built yon houses didna ken what they were doing. I'll hae to get it sorted, it's no often I complain. Well, that's us at the end of this week's recording, so when you finish listening to it, please put the memory stick back into the folder and return it to us as soon as you can. Please remember to turn over the address label, leaving the cut-off corner at the top right-hand side. And with that, it's goodbye from me, Rebecca.
Goodbye from me, Joanne.
And goodbye from me, Sarah.
Goodbye.